Whether you are creating a new business or you have an existing business, your customers want to support you and you want to put products that could increase your revenue in front of your customers. So why not consider e-commerce for your business? It's pretty trivial to set up, but we can help you. And I'm here to walk you through the different options and what it means to add e-commerce to your business. So let's get started. Okay, so let's say you have a website and you're serving static content to your customers. Maybe this is information about your business, who you are, your operating hours, what products you offer, those prices, things like that. Basic static content, it's called. Content that doesn't really change or the customer doesn't interact with, things that they just can read. So they can access this through their computer or phone or whatever device is connected to the internet and uses a web browser. So they connect through the web browser and interact with a web server where your static info lives. Pretty basic. This is pretty standard. Plenty of website builders operate under this model. Let's say you want to add e-commerce to your website. E-commerce, you think about being able to sell things on your website, being able to sell products or services, any manner of things, subscriptions, right? So e-commerce adds a lot of complexity to a static website. You have things like products. This could also include services and subscriptions. You have a checkout experience. You have fulfillment of these orders. How is the customer going to receive this product? And then the payout, like how are you going to receive money from this entire transaction? This web server would need to include all of these capabilities in order to have e-commerce features. That's why there's a lot of built offerings that already provide these things in kind of in a box that people can use. Things you think about would be like Shopify, where Shopify has all of this built in. You could also think of something like selling on Amazon or eBay as falling into this e-commerce, but Shopify is the main subject when it comes to building your own store. One other interesting aspect of e-commerce is the product life cycle. So you as a seller can create or restock products. They're then purchased and need to be fulfilled, and will finally move into a sold out state once the entire stock is depleted. So the product goes through a stocking life cycle where there are products added to the stock, purchased, and products can go out of stock. So a product doesn't just have attributes, but it also has behavior that might be a specific fulfillment behavior. So like if this is a digital product, are you emailing someone a key? If this is a physical product, are you shipping it to them? Or do they need to pick it up? Something along those lines. And then the life cycle involves the stocking of the unit. So in addition to having all of these features with having product listings, a checkout experience, fulfillment, and payout, e-commerce also manages the product lifecycle for you. So if you're using an e-commerce platform, then both you and your customer could interact directly with that e-commerce platform. You can imagine a world where you are creating and stocking products, your customer is purchasing them, you fulfill them, and the product moves through its life cycle. So you and your customer both interact with the same set of products, you from an administrative position and your customer as a consumer or purchaser of this product. But ultimately, your activities influence the same set of products. Let's talk a little more about the customer journey through e-commerce. If we think about that same flow we were talking about before, similar flow from the customer perspective. For the products, they could browse and select and modify and purchase products. Once they go through the checkout flow, customers will make a payment. Once fulfillment is being done, so this order is being shipped, customers can track the status of this order. They want to know when their order is expected to be delivered, if it's something that's shipped. And then if the customer doesn't like the product, we need to go through a refund or return flow for the customer so that they can get their money back and we can receive the product if that's the case. So an e-commerce platform provides you with a lot of these functions built in. Right, so the customer could interact directly with an e-commerce platform, and I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of Shopify stores directly that operate as just Shopify configured stores that do all of this for the customer. It wouldn't be surprising if you've been to a store that is a Shopify store. As a business owner, from your perspective, you're creating product. When a customer makes a purchase, you get notified of that purchase, and you perform the fulfillment. So maybe in this example, you're shipping an order, and that creates the tracking for the customer. And then if the customer goes through a refund, you have to accept that product. So it's kind of each of the customer and the business have their own view and experience with the e-commerce platform. In the background, the e-commerce platform is also tracking taxes. So you have a sales tax obligation based on your sales and which state you're making sales. Tracking this on your own requires bookkeeping and knowledge of the tax code, but e-commerce platforms like Shopify track that for you. And then there's the payout, right? So the platform itself is going to take a small fee of the products that are sold and aggregate all of your sales and take out the fees that it charges, and then perform the payout in the background. So money doesn't need to change hands directly between the customer and the business. It flows through the e-commerce platform. So with the complex product lifecycle and the e-commerce platform, there's still ways to simplify this as a business owner. So if you list products on your website and are tired of managing the inventory, right? So you are taking on a risk when you print products or create products and hold them as inventory. Like if you don't sell those products, then you're sitting on a bunch of money that you've spent to create those products. This is where a tool like a print-on-demand service comes in. So let's say you're selling t-shirts. You could create a design and upload it to a print-on-demand store and create offerings through this print-on-demand. Something like Printful is a popular print-on-demand service. You upload a design, you select which options are available for that particular product. So maybe it's on a t-shirt and a hoodie and a hat. And the print-on-demand service can plug right into your e-commerce store. And now when a purchase is made, it flows through your e-commerce into print-on-demand and makes the fulfillment flow directly to the customer. So this company will print those products for you, those t-shirts or hoodies or hats or what have you, and then it will fulfill those for you. So a lot of the product management can be taken care of by another third party. And then the products that you create on this print-on-demand service can actually be directly synced to your store. So from the customer's perspective, it doesn't look any different if you're using a print-on-demand versus your e-commerce front end. I have the refund highlighted as red here because if there is a print error or the product comes damaged, the print-on-demand services will process a refund. However, in cases where the customer is not happy with the product for some other reason, so let's say you uploaded a low resolution image in print on demand and the customer received that, the customer refund would not be performed by the print on demand service. You as the business owner would have to work through your e-commerce site to process that refund. Print on demand doesn't do anything with taxes or payout, so that's all within the e-commerce. So what does it look like from your customer if you have an e-commerce store? So this is a possible pattern. You can use Shopify entirely to have an e-commerce website, and you can do a lot of customization with Shopify. You can make it look like almost anything because Shopify has a web editor, something like Wix or Squarespace, and not every page needs to be a shopping experience, right? There's a lot of information that you can take from your static website and put into the e-commerce site. But if you have an existing website, you could actually embed your e-commerce store into that website. So if you already like the experience that you have on your website, then you could just embed product listings into that website and the product data would flow through your e-commerce provider to the customer. On the business side, it would still look like this. You're not interacting with your own website, so you would still see this flow as a business owner, or this flow if you use print on demand. But from the customer's perspective, you could place the e-commerce inside of your website as just another page that looks like your pre-branded content and looks like just another page on your website. So whether you decide that you want to create a Shopify store to be set up as an e-commerce offering to your customers for your business, or if you already have an existing website and you want to plug your e-commerce features into your website, geoandjake.com can help you with that. Go to geoandjake.com and fill out our form if you have any interest in businesses' web services.